Hey, this is Neil Peterson. Thanks for reading my blog. Today we're talking about System Center 2012 Configuration Manager Console extensions. What we're looking at here is the System Center 2012 Configuration Manager Console, and the goal is to create a right-click tool of which I can use to right-click on any collection and ping the members of the collection, displaying the output in an Excel spreadsheet. So as you can see here, we have got just the standard context menu when right-clicking on a collection under Device Collections. The first thing we need to do in order to create this right-click tool or console extension is determine the GUID that corresponds to these device collections. So let's take a look at how to do that. What we're going to do is open up the Asset Management Node XML file located in the console root folder under the console installation directory. So as you can see here, we have multiple XML files. What you'll see is that each one of these XML files corresponds to a node in the 2012 Configuration Manager console. So you can see here Asset Management Node XML corresponds to Asset and Compliance. We have a software library node and a software library node in the console, a monitoring node.xml file corresponding to the monitoring node in the Configuration Manager console, and so on. For this exercise, we're going to be examining the contents of the Asset Management Node.xml file. What we're going to be looking for in this Asset Management Node file is namespace GUID. So we'll search for that. And the first one we find here has an ID of Asset Management Node, so that is the root of the Asset Management Node. Search for the next instance of namespace GUID, and we can see we have an ID of Asset Management Node Overview. So this GUID here corresponds to the Overview node right here. If we continue on, we can see we've got an ID of Users, or the Users node. The next one you'll notice does not have an ID indicating that it is actually one of the users, so it is not a node. The GUID corresponds to the actual collection of objects under the Users node. And through some trial and error, I've identified that what I'm after for this right-click tool is under the Devices node, and finally the collection of objects under that node, bringing me to this GUID right here. With the GUID identified, I now need to create the folder that's going to hold the contents of my extension. I'm going to go ahead and close down the Configuration Manager console as well. I'm going to create this folder under the installation directory of the Configuration Manager console, Admin Console, XML Storage, Extensions, and Actions. I'm going to give this folder a name that is of the GUID we pulled from the root console XML file. With the folder created, I'm going to go ahead and create a new XML file. And I will give this the XML as detailed in the text of my blog. Likewise, I'll go ahead and create the VB script. Copy into this the code from the script as detailed in my blog. Again, for your environments, you'll want to change this information to match your environment. Once that's all completed, go ahead and open up the 2012 Configuration Manager console. Navigate to our device collections. And we can see now that when we right-click on any device collection, in this instance I'm using All Systems, we have our extension added to the context menu. Go ahead and trigger this. You can see here that my Excel workbook has been created and opened, and I'm pinging these machines, outputting the results to the Excel file. Thanks once again for reading my blog and viewing this video, and I hope the information was helpful.